When we think of flying, most of us imagine smooth skies, a little turbulence here and there, and finally landing safely at our destination. But behind the scenes, aviation has had its fair share of terrifying moments. Incidents that could have ended in catastrophic disaster, but somehow didn't. These aren't just accidents, they're near misses, situations where split-second decisions, luck, or sheer human skill prevented history from recording yet another tragedy. Let's explore some of the most dangerous near misses in aviation history, the ones that could have rivaled the deadliest disasters ever recorded. Aviation's deadliest incident happened back in 1977 on the island of Tenerife. On that day, Los Rodeos Airport was unusually crowded because of a terrorist bombing at nearby Gran Canaria Airport. Flights were being diverted, and among them were two massive Boeing 747s, one operated by Pan American and the other by KLM Royal Dutch Airlines. The conditions were dreadful. Fog rolled over the runway, making visibility almost impossible. Air traffic control was overloaded with constant communication, and the language barrier between Dutch pilots, American pilots, and Spanish controllers made things even worse. The KLM captain, one of the airline's most respected pilots, made a fatal error. Believing he had takeoff clearance, he pushed the throttles forward, not realizing that Pan Am's 747 was still taxiing down the same runway. With visibility near zero, neither plane could see each other until it was too late. The two giants collided, killing 583 people instantly. To this day, it remains the deadliest accident in aviation history. And while this was not a near miss, but an actual tragedy, the reason it's so often remembered in discussions of near misses is because just one moment of hesitation, one clear transmission, or even a slightly different timing would have prevented it. This disaster reshaped aviation communication forever. Standardized phraseology, stricter clearance protocols, and mandatory cockpit resource management all became direct results of Tenerife. Then in December 1978, Portland, Oregon, where United Airlines Flight 173, a DC-8 with 181 people on board, was approaching for landing. The crew noticed a problem with the landing gear. Something didn't feel right. Concerned about whether the gear had actually locked into place, the captain decided to circle the airport, troubleshooting the issue while keeping the jet in the air. At first, it seemed like a reasonable precaution, but as minutes turned into an hour, the situation grew critical. The DC-8 was running low on fuel, and while the captain fixated on the landing gear, his crew repeatedly warned him about their dwindling reserves. Yet the warnings went unheeded until it was almost too late. Suddenly, the engines began flaming out one by one. Passengers braced for impact as the jet started losing altitude fast. With just seconds to spare, the captain was forced to bring the powerless aircraft down in a suburban neighborhood short of the runway. 10 people died, but the majority somehow survived a crash that should have claimed everyone on board. Another near miss that still sparks chills happened over the Atlantic Ocean in 2001, involving Air Transat Flight 236. The Airbus A330 was flying from Toronto to Lisbon when a massive fuel leak left it without power in both engines. For passengers, the nightmare began when cabin lights flickered, the engines went quiet, and the crew announced they were attempting to glide the aircraft. A fully loaded A330 gliding over open ocean with no thrust sounds like a certain disaster. But through extraordinary piloting, the crew managed to glide the jet for an unbelievable 19 minutes before landing safely in the Azores. Not a single life was lost. It could have been one of the worst crashes in history, but instead, it became a testament to skill under pressure. That landing is still studied today as one of the greatest displays of airmanship ever recorded. Equally terrifying was the near mid-air collision over Japan in 2001, when Japan Airlines Flight 907, a Boeing 747, came dangerously close to slamming into another passenger aircraft, a DC-10. The planes were closing in on each other at over 500 miles per hour when air traffic controllers gave conflicting instructions. The DC-10 was told to descend, while the JAL 747 crew received their own collision avoidance system alert, ordering them to descend as well. For a few terrifying seconds, both aircraft were on a collision course. At the last possible moment, one pilot pulled into a steep climb, while the other leveled off, leaving the two planes just 37 meters apart. That's closer than the length of a city bus. If they had collided, over 600 lives would have been lost instantly. This incident pushed regulators to enforce stricter compliance with automated collision avoidance systems over verbal air traffic control instructions, ensuring machines designed to prevent collisions were always prioritized. And then there's Qantas Flight 72, another chilling reminder that sometimes the danger doesn't come from fuel or engines, but from the very computers designed to keep a plane safe. On October 7, 2008, an Airbus A330 flying from Singapore to Perth was cruising normally at 37,000 feet over Western Australia. Without warning, the flight control computer malfunctioned, sending the aircraft into a sudden and violent dive. Passengers who weren't buckled in were hurled against the ceiling, slammed back down into seats, and injured by flying debris. Dozens suffered broken bones, concussions, and severe bruising in just seconds. The pilots, fighting against the plane's own systems, managed to regain control and level off. But before anyone could breathe a sigh of relief, the computer glitched again, forcing the aircraft into another stomach-dropping dive. At this altitude, such sudden movements put enormous stress on the airframe, and had the oscillations continued, the aircraft could have literally torn itself apart mid-air. Somehow, the crew stabilized the jet and diverted to a remote military base, where they executed an emergency landing that ended in relief rather than catastrophe. Fast forward to November 2010, when aviation once again stood on the edge of catastrophe. Qantas Flight 32, an Airbus A380 carrying 469 passengers, had just taken off from Singapore. The A380 was the pride of modern aviation, the largest passenger jet in the world, engineered with multiple redundancies to make it practically fail-proof. But as the plane climbed into the sky, disaster struck. One of its Rolls-Royce Trent 900 engines exploded with terrifying force, sending shrapnel tearing through the wing. The blast punched holes in fuel tanks, sliced through electrical wiring, and crippled vital hydraulic systems. Warning alarms in the cockpit lit up like a Christmas tree, overwhelming the crew with more than 50 different system failures. For a few tense moments, nobody knew if the plane could even keep flying. The world's largest passenger aircraft, suddenly transformed into a wounded giant, was battling physics just to stay airborne. And yet, this is where aviation history is defined, not just by the disasters that happen, but by the ones narrowly avoided. The 5 pilots in the cockpit, led by Captain Richard de Crespigny, worked with nerves of steel. They methodically analyzed each failure, cross-checking every move as they fought to keep control of the crippled aircraft. Hours later, they managed to bring the damaged A380 back to Singapore and land it safely, despite fuel leaks, unusable brakes, and a wing so damaged it looked like it had been through a war zone. As much as these incidents make flying sound terrifying, it's important to remember that every disaster or near miss has reshaped aviation safety in ways that protect passengers today. The Tenerife disaster gave us standardized communication protocols. Air Transat's glide across the Atlantic is why fuel monitoring systems are more robust. And the Japan Airlines near collision reinforced the authority of cockpit automation designed to save lives. So the next time you step onto an airplane, remember this. Countless people are alive today because pilots, engineers, and regulators studied near misses and disasters and made sure they wouldn't happen again. Aviation may carry risks, but it's also an industry that learns, sometimes painfully, but always thoroughly. And that's why, even after the most dangerous near misses in history, the skies remain one of the safest places you could ever be. Every close call leaves behind more than just shaken passengers and headlines. It creates a blueprint for prevention. Whether it's a new checklist in the cockpit, an advanced radar upgrade, or stricter international regulations, each measure is a direct response to what almost went wrong. The beauty of aviation lies in how it refuses to ignore the past, instead transforming fear into foresight. And in that transformation lies reassurance. For every frightening story of a near miss, there are thousands of flights every single day that reach their destinations without incident. While the drama of aviation's darkest moments often captures attention, the real story is one of resilience, progress, and constant vigilance. That's the reason why, despite those moments of danger, air travel continues to carry millions safely across the globe every year, connecting families, fueling economies, and proving that even in the face of risk, human ingenuity can turn the skies into one of the safest frontiers we've ever conquered. That's the world of aviation's closest calls, stories that remind us just how thin the line can be between disaster and survival. Every one of these near misses changed the way we fly today, making the skies safer than ever. But here's a question. Which of these incidents shocked you the most? And do you think modern technology has truly eliminated the risk of another catastrophe? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories.